go back to history, and history has taught us that in 2015-16, when Kwame Ewadakun was managing TOR, Honorable Alex Mood vertically integrated the upstream to the downstream. So TOR refined about 7 million barrels of product. If we think that TOR refining will have some debt or liabilities because of some corporate governance structure or inefficiencies, then it's good for us to reform the institution to put in certain mechanisms that will ensure that it becomes very effective and efficient in refining our products for the local market. I think if you're able to do this particular thing, it helps us to beef up our energy security by making sure that there's supply security, the product is available at the pump, and also affordable comparatively to getting this product from other import market across the world. So we produce, but unfortunately we don't refine the products here. We export them, and our local refineries either import from China or other sources to refine. And we must stop that if actually we want to ensure petroleum security in Ghana.
Well, thank you. On that note, I was going to ask whether there isn't anything at all we can do to perhaps shift our reliance on imported fuel, but you seem to have taken the wind out of my sail. Let me bring on Dr. Riverson and find out a few, maybe a question or two from him to see how he responds to those for us. Good afternoon once again, Dr. Riverson, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. So the question is about what we can do.
Sure. What is there nothing at all we can do to perhaps shift our over-reliance or dependence on imported fuel products or petroleum products?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about government priority, because for me, diversity is good, but the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. Do not love your neighbor more than yourself. That is why I found it very, very worrying when Ghana was jubilating over the collapse of TOR and the introduction of a privately owned, refinery. Now, that would not necessarily have the same impact like your own, just like Ben said. When TOR was working, you cannot tell. You have no idea how many engineers, petrochemical engineers, TOR trained. If you go to Saudi Arabia and you meet the Ghanaians there that were trained at TOR, when you go to the oil and gas industry, upstream, even Ghana Gas, and you take a look at the top engineers, they're all coming from TOR. If you go to Senegal, when you go to Guyana, all the top engineers on their FPSOs, which belongs to ExxonMobil, an American brand, they are all trained by TOR. We cannot list the amount of goodies that comes to entire value chain recognition. Like Ben said, it doesn't make any sense to me as a petroleum economist to sell your crude oil today at $103 per barrel and import back diesel and petrol at $1,200 per metric ton. Tell me, where's the justification? You understand? Look at the models. Today, the gas companies are not those who are producing the highest. They are those who have taken advantage of the entire value chain. And now ask yourself, isn't there any demand in Ghana? The first question you asked Benjamin was, are there any alternatives, fuels? Charlie, all those people who are fighting energy transition in the UK and Europe, today are all being hit. Let me tell you, crude oil and natural gas are two commodities you cannot do without, whether you transition or not. We're going to depend on it till you and I pass away, to our children, maybe probably even pass away, and nobody knows when to be useless. So once we know this, the government of Ghana should be intentional about refining its own quota of the deals that we have here in upstream. That will, in a extent, give investors confidence to the likes of Talu and Adako, ENI, Vitol, and the rest, to also come and say that, okay, government of Ghana, you said you have been able to produce or refine crude oil in your country. Yes, there's demand for it. Last year, and our report is coming out next week. You can see we grew by 15% plus as a country. 6 billion liters plus of crude oil products were consumed in Ghana. Who told that there's no demand here? And now we're not producing what we produce, even cannot meet the demand in terms of our share. So why don't we start with that one? And now call to the IOCs on the table to discuss how they can be of help with us. Now let me tell you, with what is happening today in the global market, with all this bombing happens in the Middle East, let me tell you, IOCs wish that there were enough refineries in Africa. And I'm telling you from a source that is very confidential. IOCs producing oil and gas in Africa are now very interested in refineries in Africa. So they don't send their products our way, but rather refining here because there's market for it.
Picture painted currently, and what we have on our hands makes it a bit bleak for us as consumers, especially for those of us who need these products for running our business and our daily commute. Is it about time government considers the use of our petroleum stabilization fund to cushion consumers somehow?
Yes. I'll say yes again. We understand there's there's debt to be paid, but we are taking, to my mind, I think we are taking too much. Tomorrow there'll be EVs. EVs are coming in. Are we going to take this a levy or tax to the EV sector after paying electricity to charge your own battery or so your car? Is the government of Ghana going to put charges on that when we move from diesel to those cars? You understand? So we are making it outrageously expensive, especially LPG. My whole pain is around LPG. When LPG price go up, it is more painful for a product that we want to stop killing our sisters and mothers in the villages who are using charcoal. Eye diseases, headaches, lungs issue because of breathing this kind of gases, greenhouse gases. So yes, we've heard that the Minister of Energy, Minister of Finance have engaged the government stakeholders. That is basically the agencies. We don't know what was discussed. I hope, or we hope, with the CSOs that it was part of the discussion on the table, and we want to hear from them pretty soon.
Right. Thank you very much. Before I let you go, though, what will be your advice to the Ghanaian consumer in the way to manage our expectations as well as our spending?
This is a global issue, okay? So let's do less politics around it. Like I said initially, this is not anybody's doing. That Trump decided to go and bomb Iraq, or let's say that there's crisis. Across the Middle East, nobody is involved. Not you and I. This is temporal. It's one of those things that will come and hit us. Let's behold it, and I hope at the right time we will get things right in this country.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Riverson, for sharing these thoughts with us. Let me bring on Benjamin to sample his final comments on the subject, and we'll bid him goodbye as well. Benjamin, thank you very much once again. What, in your view, will be the potential consequence should government decide to perhaps absorb the rising costs so that pressure is eased on consumers?
So first of all, the question you asked Dr. Riverson, Ghana doesn't have a price stabilization fund. If you look at the Energy Sector Levy Act, our price stabilization is meant to subsidize premix and heavy fuel oil. We never had any amount in a fund to take care of some of these price hikes on the international market. So we don't have anything like that. But what I think you want to say is whether we could amend our Energy Sector Levy Act, which is currently 1141, or maybe we could amend our Special Petroleum Tax to clear some of these levies and taxes of the build-up so that the Ghanaian will benefit or will get some consumer surplus. And I think anyone who calls that is justified to say so, because the reason why we introduced the 1 Ghana cedi levy in 2025 June was because price has declined from 15 Ghana cedi 60 pesos in January to about 12 Ghana cedis 88 pesos in June. And for that matter, the government and the Ghanaian consumer shared this particular surplus. So if today prices are reversing back to 15 Ghana cedis, almost 16 Ghana cedis, as total is selling 16 Ghana cedis, 29 pesos, it means that there's no justification for living or having the 1 Ghana cedi on the build-up. So as a matter of urgency, if the price are going to stay same, I think that the government, through the Ministry of Finance, must present amendment of this particular act under certificate of urgency to take the 1 Ghana cedi out. If it doesn't, if I got the opportunity to answer your first question when you asked a question about inflation, if it doesn't, it means that CTOs or commercial transport operators will be agitating for fare hikes. If they agitate for fare hikes, transport costs will increase, and that will have a role to play in our consumer price index, which also increases inflation in future. So we need to look at that and then ensure that it is done. Now, with respect to your question about whether removal of some of the, or amending the tax act or the fiscal policy on the price buildup will have some consequences. I don't see it that way. I think the best thing for government to do is to ensure that the power sector becomes very efficient. If the power sector becomes very efficient, reducing system losses, reducing certain liabilities that they incur, I think that there will be free money for them to pay their own debt than rely on the petroleum sector. So it is about government being efficient. Government can still amend the tax laws and then take taxes or levies off the price buildup and still ensure that the energy sector becomes very efficient and very buoyant in terms of sustainability of supply of electricity.
Right, on that note, how can Ghana's centralized gold trading system help in any way to hold our economy or provide a certain shock against the impact of the Iran issue?
Unfortunately for us, I think that we also supply about 35% of our gold to United Arab Emirates. As to whether this conflict will help us to continue supply this gold to this part of the world. So if you are unable to supply, it means the price of gold is likely going to decline. Or I've even seen that the price have declined somewhat on the international market. So the flow of revenue from golds may not be much, and that is why even the cedi has depreciated a bit. If you go to the NPA website, I've seen about 0.51% depreciation of the cedi. And that also means that the price of this product in the first week of April, all that is equal, will even be higher than what we are observing today. So that may not critically or really play a role. But what I've seen, or what I've observed in history, is that when the Russia-Ukraine conflict started in 2022, the then finance minister, Mr. Ken Oforiatta, decided to auction comparatively cheaper dollars to the BDCs to import the products. And when we give them comparatively cheaper dollars, I think that they will ensure, or we ensure or entreat them to factor that in pricing of their ex-refinery. And if that happens, I think comparatively the price of the product will be cheaper. But holding trust in gold sales or centralized gold sales, I don't think that it will have any impact in making sure that price of petroleum products at pump reduce, unless maybe we observe higher prices of gold on the international market, as well as more production of gold from our small-scale gold operators, as well as large-scale gold operators. If we're able to do these things within the short term, I think more revenue inflows will come in, and then it will help stabilize the cedi whilst we fight the international market price of the petroleum products.
All right, thank you so very much, Executive Director, Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, Mr. Benjamin Nsia. We're grateful for your time. Thank you so very much. While we're out here engaging our experts to tell us what the situation is from their perspectives, our correspondent, Clara Sanusi, was out there to speak to commuters, commercial drivers, and find out how that is impacting their business too. Take a look.
Particularly Iran, are causing ripple effects on on the global oil markets in all over the places or the countries. And with that, Ghana is already feeling the impact of fuel prices increment. And yes, today we speak to some drivers, mates and fuel attendants about how they feel about this fuel prices and how it's affecting their livelihoods and transport fares.
Now I'm 200 Ghana krana. Now I'm to me the yajuma kwanim. But yeah, call 2 months, 3 months here. You see, I've fufu imuano. But you know, a kwa na ekosoro. Wow. Yeah, tum so I am monka. You say, eh, bia. Ya nanso radio and TV so say bia. Yeah, tum. Yeah, monka. Ya no one say yeah, yeah, tum. And if you and somebody ekosoro, am I brebe pa. In fact, enye abani nye bibi pound. Sabada da na ntimi anye. No di say bibia. Oh, so nsasa wo di say bibi.
Fu anu so na kwa na ha kakra. Simple because na di adwuma. Nti se kosoro sana na so ha kakra. Nti e bom pa se emra fom. Ne nyentum fa de fa nya adwuma. Ana wo say no, ye no. Ase nam krum. And obi o mo ka o say sa na metua de bia. To kaka ya tu fuom kwa so etumu da ben. Me da sa na metua nta so fa ne sa. Because the one fan is na ujawa unya bim fa bim.
Oh, right now it's all about the GPRT. So right now, if they said that maybe we should increase the transportation, we will increase it. But if they say we should maintain it, we wait more.
Fuel price in the ano pay ponam kotobi am usa basoro. Anya kra esa ba no e bi fa. Ada so be to lolu fam. Ana se fuel no beti so na it se first. Ye tono 12 cedi.
Sisi ayese.
14 cedis.
Many drivers say that the rising fuel prices are putting pressure on their daily income and expenses, while others are adjusting to the changes, and also some hope for measures to be put in place whilst the fuel prices continue to rise. Reporting for GBC News, Clara Sanusi.
It's the National Discourse, where expert voices and critical minds rise to discuss all matters socio-political under the Ghanaian skies. From Accra to Zabila, Atimpuku to Zabzuru, we'll show you how to diagnose misinformation from disinformation in order to arrive at the right information. The National Discourse, discussions deep, perspectives diverse, and debate punchy. From the streets to the halls of power, we vow to keep you informed. Tune into the National Discourse on GBC News at 3:05 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. With your host, Daryl Allen Tago. The National Discourse. Together.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. You're watching GBC News, and this is the National Discourse. You can join us, share your views via WhatsApp on 0553 360 361, 0553 360 361. And from petroleum matters, we're going to firearms or guns, if you like. And not too long ago, government granted a certain amnesty for those who own unlicensed or illicit firearms to hand them in order to protect lives and property, and also save us from the wanton waving of guns around homes due through armed robbery. Ghana's Gun Amnesty program, launched on December 1, 2025, aims to reduce the proliferation of illicit firearms and promote public safety. The program allows individuals to surrender unregistered or illicit firearms without fear of arrest, interrogation, or prosecution. The amnesty period, initially set to end on January 15, 2026, has been extended to January 30, 2026 to encourage more people to participate. The program is part of the government's effort to addressing rising gun violence, armed robbery, and chieftaincy conflicts. The National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons estimates that gun violence incidents jumped up by 253% in the first quarter of 2025 compared to the same period in 2024. The Minister for the Interior, Mr. Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, has revealed that more than 4,000 firearms have been voluntarily handed over by civilians as part of the government's gun amnesty program. He explained that prior to the official amnesty program or period, authorities had already retrieved about 11,000 firearms from civilians. To help us to do some more discussion or understand the issues contained within this amnesty is none other than Dr. Adam Bona, Acting Executive Secretary of the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons. Good afternoon, Dr. Bona. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon.
Well, we've seen the numbers, and then they're quite somehow reassuring. At least the glass is half full, some will say. But where are we currently in terms of gun violence? What are the statistics?
Well, the statistics, if you ask me, I would say that we have seen some amount of, we need to disaggregate gun violence. We have gun violence that relates to conflicts. Then we have gun violence that relates to armed robbery. And then gun violence that sometimes relates to festivals and unintentional discharge. And so I would say that we don't have one categorization, but if you decide to get to know that the numbers, I would say we've done some work, but there has to be some more work to be done. Where we are at the moment is work in progress. Where we've come from and where we are today, I would say there is some reduction, but that is not good enough.
From where you sit, how will you describe the impact of this amnesty and how, whether it has affected gun violence or public safety in any way?
So what I see is that the amnesty has reflected last year into the first month of this year. If you check the period, the 2 months period of the amnesty, gun violence reduced significantly. Reduced significantly because then a lot of awareness has been created. Subsequently, we have had some reduction in gun violence in this country. The simple reason is that a lot more people have become aware of the fact that you must register their weapons. You cannot hold illicit weapons. If you did and you were caught, you will be punished by the law. And so I can tell you that the numbers have had some reduction, but we need to do more. What was retrieved are yet to be destroyed. Your head and staff, the Honorable Minister of the Interior Ministry. And so you are talking about 4,000 plus weapons, illicit weapons that were in the hands of people. And you know what one compact gun can do in a community. So to retrieve different categories of weapons amounting to more than 4,000 is unprecedented. We've never done it before, this kind of where we retrieve this amount of weapons. In peacetime, this has never happened anywhere on the continent in peacetime. You can talk about Sierra Leone, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, and other places where there were more than, civil unrest. And therefore, after the civil unrest, you go into what is called disarmament, where people are asked to voluntarily surrender their weapons. That is not the case. In the case of Ghana, we are talking about peacetime, where we've never gone to any war with ourselves, apart from community conflicts. There's never been any insurrection where people have weapons, no. And so to be able to have an amnesty that brings in more than 4,000 weapons in the hands of civilians that were not registered is something that is there. And we have had calls from the UN, calls from ECOWAS. In fact, patting us in the fact that Ghana is another leading, when it comes to these things, And we are, that shining example, because then it means we can do more. It means there are more weapons in the hands of people. That must be reached.
And looking at the different pictures of guns as has been handed in, one wonders how these arms and ammunition find their way into this country.
Well, we have several unapproved borders. And you know that it's an open secret that some of our kinsmen, some of our brothers in the diaspora, sometimes hide them in barrels from America and ship them here. Sometimes they have some of these weapons in washing machine compartments and ship them here. At least the information is out there that some Ghanaians with, of Ghanaian descent have been prosecuted in America for attempting to smuggle weapons into this country through this means I just mentioned. We have those who bring them in through our borders. So literally, people smuggle them in. We do also have those who sometimes, the gunsmiths, those who make them black things. This is, call it a generational knowledge that has been passed on to them, grow up with it, and they're able to make. And so the new bill or regulation power is now going to incorporate it, train them. So we are able to regulate artisanship weapons in this country. And so I would say they are different, and even sometimes we have state legally through state armors. I'm sure you know in 2025, was published in one of the newspapers that 16 AK-47 had leaked the police armor, and the officers who were in charge of the armory, the police armor, were arrested. I don't know how far the police have traveled, but we do know that there are leakages in state armories. I'm sure you do also know his soul rest in peace. The former defense minister raised issues about missing ammunition from some of our state armors. And so as for how they come into the country, they are multifaceted. There are different ways, but those are some of the things I can tell you.
What we know currently, and whether or not we can describe this as having been successful, how sustainable is the amnesty program?
Oh, well, the Small Arms Commission is still at work. The Ghana Police are still at work. The other customs, immigration, we collaborate with all these entities, supervised by the Interior Ministry, and so we are still at work. We are not sleeping. Right. We are doing everything to ensure that the last weapon is surrounded, or whoever has it is arrested. It's an intentional problem. It's something that has existed for years, decades, that we are dealing with. So we won't just overnight deal with it. It's a process. We are making sure that we deal with it the way it's felt. And so I'm sure every now and then you hear the police arrest, illicit comes here and there. Things are collaborative where we share a lot of intelligence. The national security is playing a role. The NIB is playing a role. Every hand is on deck, if I want to put it that way, when it comes to dealing with firearms. But the smaller is playing that pivotal, that leading role in ensuring that we coordinate all this effort, ensuring that issues of small arms and light weapons in this country, if not done away with time, we can bring it to the various minimum, so that you don't have communities rising up against communities. In the past, you disagree with somebody, you could exchange a bit of blows here and there. Now you don't know what the person is having in his trousers or in his car. Brings it out and wants to shoot at people. This is what we are not known for. And so this is where we want to go back to ensure that illicit weapons are not used in this country. By retrieving them from people, those who will not bring them, get them arrested and prosecuted.
What will become of the 4,000 firearms handed in already?
Well, it is not all of them that will be Well, there are going to be those illicit among them because some people brought them for registration to regularize. Some also brought them, some also are going to be destroyed. And so we have done the disaggregation. I'm sure at the right time, the minister is going to speak to the general public about the disaggregation. But substantially, a lot of them are destroyed. We also have some key weapons. All of those ones are because then what our mandate says as a commission is to ensure that these weapons are destroyed. And we are the only organization that has the weapon instruction machine. And so, yes, they are going to be destroyed.
Right. Finally, to let you go, what in your view, do you think will be the potential challenge to the sustainability of this program?
Well, the potential challenge would be when Ghanaians decide not to stop, because then you need to be a relative. He has a weapon. The weapon is not licensed. It's not regularized. It's formats. So the potential challenge is when Ghanaians decide to acquire the weapons are used. And so is one of the main potential challenges. And then what I would say support in terms of resources, because we don't have unlimited resources. We are hoping that those who want to support the Amnesty initiative would come forth and support us. It will be able to do it so that Ghana would be a very peaceful country, as the second would be. But these are the key challenges. We want informants to share information with us. Ghanaians to share information with us with regards to those who have illicit weapons. And then support in terms of resources to be able to do this anyone who can support the education.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Adam Bona, for sharing these views with us. They've been really very helpful, and Ghanaians, I assure you, have been very well educated on these. We're all looking forward and will volunteer information as necessary. Thank you so very much. Just gone there was Dr. Adam Bona, the Acting Executive Secretary of the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons, who's been sharing his views on the Gun amnesty with us. Keep watching GBC News. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The proliferation of illegal firearms contributes significantly to the national discourse.
The National Discourse, where expert voices and critical minds rise to discuss all matters socio-political under the Ghanaian skies. From Accra to Zabila, Atimpuku to Zabzulu, we will show you how to diagnose misinformation from disinformation in order to arrive at the right information. The National Discourse, discussions deep, perspectives diverse, and debate punchy. From the streets to the halls of power, we vow to keep you informed. Tune into the National Discourse on GBC News at 3:05 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. With your host, Daryl Allen Tago. The National Discourse. Together, we'll shape the future. The National Discourse. The heartbeat of the nation. The National Discourse. What are the real issues? It's the National Discourse. The National Discourse, where expert voices and critical minds rise to discuss all matters socio-political under the Ghanaian skies. From Accra to Zabila, Atimpuku to Zabzulu, we will show you how to diagnose misinformation from disinformation in order to arrive at the right information. The National Discourse, discussions deep, perspectives diverse, and debate punchy. From the streets to the halls of power, we vow to keep you informed. Tune into the National Discourse on GBC News at 3:05 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. With your host, Daryl Allen Tago. The National Discourse. Together, we'll shape the future. The National Discourse. The heartbeat of the nation. The National Discourse. What are the real issues? It's the National Discourse. The National Discourse, where expert voices and critical minds rise to discuss all matters socio-political under the Ghanaian skies. From Accra to Zabila, Atimpuku to Zabzulu, we will show you how to diagnose misinformation from disinformation in order to arrive at the right information. The National Discourse, discussions deep, perspectives diverse, and debate punchy. From the streets to the halls of power, we vow to keep you informed. Tune in to the National Discourse on GBC News at 3:05 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. With your host, Daryl Alan Tago. The National Discourse. Together, we'll shape the future. The National Discourse. The heartbeat of the nation. The National Discourse. What are the real issues? It's the National Discourse. The National Discourse, where expert voices and critical minds rise to discuss all matters socio-political under the Ghanaian skies. From Accra to Zabila, Atimpuku to Zabzulu, we'll show you how to diagnose misinformation from disinformation in order to arrive at the right information. The National Discourse. Discussions deep, perspectives diverse, and debate punchy. From the streets to the halls of power, we vow to keep you informed. Tune in to the National Discourse on GBC News at 3:05 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. With your host, Daryl Alan Tago. The National Discourse. Together, we'll shape the future. The National Discourse. The heartbeat of the nation. The National Discourse.
Thank you very much. You've been watching the National Discourse on GBC News. My name, as always, has been Daryl Alantego, but we have some breaking news coming through. Just before we go away, GBC is gathering that there has been a helicopter crash somewhere in the Tema area of the Greater Accra region. Information reaching us has it that 2 pilots have been involved in this accident and may be dead. We are trying as hard as we can to get our correspondent within the Tema Enclave to tell us more about this information and what details they know about it. I am gathering our correspondent, Gloria Anderson, may be on the phone to us and she can tell us more. Gloria, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. Gloria, if you can hear me, what can you tell us about this helicopter crash? I think we're unable to, Gloria can't hear me in the studio, but what we're hearing is that there's been a helicopter crash around Tema and 2 pilots who may be in the helicopter. My heads. All right, okay, Gloria is joining us now. Let's go over to Gloria and hear some more from her. Gloria, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Where are you and what can you? Where are you and what can you tell us?
So I'm currently located at the Onin Park, which is a community one, very close to the market center. What the incident occurred is on the site of the CMA daycare center. Luckily, all the people are safe, but security services are working hard to break out the chopper and bring out the body. So far, we've been told that there is a man and a woman, but the bodies are bent beyond recognition, and so it will be difficult to identify who and who are on the chopper. We are told that it's a civilian chopper, but we cannot really describe what kind of chopper it is for now.
Right. Gloria, these people who are giving or are telling you who may be on board the chopper, are they people who work with or know the owners of this chopper if they are described as civilian?
It's very difficult to tell, and unfortunately, it's difficult to get the security services to talk to us because almost everyone is busy, all hands are on deck, trying hard, fire service, the police, NADMO, everyone is here trying hard to ensure that, one, the evidences are safe, whatever needs to be picked up is safe, and although the civilians are making it a bit difficult for the security services to work, everyone is working. So if you are going to get any information, it will be difficult now until everything settles down. Then we can get the right information that we can see to listeners. Right now, whatever I'm going to tell you from what I've heard is going to be speculation. And you know that GDP, that's not speculation. So I want to say that we wait for the security services to finish their work and then they can brief us on what the details they have gathered so far.
Gloria, let me leave you to it. Please keep your ears on the ground and come back to us if you have any more information on this particular unfortunate crash. That on the phone to us was our correspondent Gloria Anderson, who was telling us about a helicopter crash within and around the Temara enclave. We understand that 2 people on board, and they may have been bent, or they are bent beyond recognition. Security services are on the ground, working ever so hard to make sure that the evidence is preserved and no other casualties or fatalities arise as a result. This is where we draw the curtain on today's National Discourse. Till I come your way again on Wednesday on the same program, make time and join us. Keep watching GBC News. Thank you.